КС-очка, середа, оновлення рангу. Треба залутати кейс та ще якийсь предмет. Тому приємного перегляду. Я буду рейтинговий гамать.
Finna tell you what I'm all about. Your time's running out, so don't make me spell it out. You fuck with reading, that's a doubt. I pull up in your town and blast your teeth straight up at your mouth with a magnum. My style stay platinum. Skills you lack 'em, hoes no go ask one. Colder than a sicko, got ladies rubbing their nipples pretty simple. Fuck around and get crippled, cause first things first, bitch, I'm the boss. Chew you like floss.
Portalato di dama.
Die, bitch, I'll kill it if I have to. And if they ask who, they better not ask you. Cause you don't wanna fuck with a pimp. Got a dick like a blimp, so I walk with a limp. I'm here. Your mama coochie wet. Sick of always hearing it. Motherfuckers think I'm losing it. But I don't buttercup like when it's all gone. Sick of always hearing it. I'm hung up and I'm stuck. 2, 3, 4 to the 5. Suicide. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 1
Siema typa.
Całkiem.
Raz, bi.
Like I'm throwing seeds in a lot. Anyway, moving on. I come up with this shit so quick, you're gonna wanna put a helmet on. Cause at the crack of dawn, I'll be on your lawn. Dropping your packages like a unicorn. I'm blowing up your grid and the fishes out the pond. I spray them on so you can see me when I turn the thong. In hindsight, it's probably wrong. You got the mic? Yeah, that's right. I sing along. What you wanna do? What you gonna do? What you wanna do? Ain't nothing but a re-thing, baby. What you wanna do? What you gonna do? What you wanna do? Ain't nothing finna do it my way. What you wanna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Ain't shit, I'm finna spend my chips. What you wanna do? What you gonna do? What you wanna do? Ain't nothing unless you go that way. Real
jungle.
Coming up from underwater, there's really none other. You got the boy wonder, and I cut the whole thing like butter. It ain't nothing. What you wanna do? What you gotta do? What you wanna do? Ain't nothing but a re-thing, baby. What you wanna do? What you gonna do? What you wanna do? Ain't nothing finna do it my way. What you wanna do? What you gonna do? What you gotta do? Ain't shit I'm finna do. What you gonna do? Ain't nothing unless you go that way.
Scooter, man.
I'm sliding in just to thicken the plot. International, I'm talking 20-hour flights. This the real deal, and you know I'm looking damn tight. It's getting deep and colder than my shoulder. They call me Zen 'cause they see me taking over. The supernova, I'm like a four-leaf clover. Man, I'm gone, fucked up in a Range Rover. But if you wanna go, don't even try to front, I'ma lose it. Play a show, do some cocaine with hellos. And if you really want it, bitch, let me know. Still outside of you, I'm fucked up in a Range Rover. I'm fucked up in a Range Rover.
He's serious. He's cheating at
Peek. Rush me.
It's nothing like me. Color, dress, curls, whatever. It's nothing like me, but he's sitting in front of me, sing word for word, no word for word. I'm like, yeah. You like communicating? That type of thing? It's definitely communication thing.
Drop the bomb. Grenade. Throwing a flashback.
Oh shit.
hit again and it's a blizzard. But here's my fencer, don't make me have to explain it like Clarissa. I'm finally out of bed but can't find my slippers. She dropped the zipper, that's a big dipper. And I'm just at the homie house and yo, his other homie got a lizard. His other homie got a lizard. But what does it mean? Is it consistent with statistics? Like the way he always keep it moving like a piston. He make them work until their foreheads start to glisten. Type of dude to show up chugging heat. Fuck your family picnic. These the game is shining like a pendant. He keep it so supremely independent. No other force or higher power can support the firepower. He export the finer beast that you just can't afford. Export the finer beast that you just can't afford. Ain't got the time, but at least he got his bitches. The binging, honey, penny pinching, dummy ripping out your stitches. So bleeding like a baby on Christmas. He's nodding off and having and I'm never falling off like some glitter on them titties. I'm never falling off like some glitter on them titties. I told her leave when the shit started to stink. And that dumb bitch still left the dirty dishes in the sink. Now I'm vending to homies, cause yo, I like how they think. And I can't be making this bacon without an addy in my drink, stupid. Yeah, I heard your shit is putrid. Changing name your bitch's legs, grab your umbrella. Who that rude dude pissing in your new shoes? Driving with a clip and shooting pigeons with a new tube. It's the terror from the shred, putting drugs in his head. I'm a monster from the movies, chilling under your bed, G. Goes on like a windmill. Only plan I got is to grip still, make a meal, stay it real, always 93 till. So's a mission, did it better still. What don't depend on the weather. You know I'm better than most these clowns. You'll be seeing on the TV, cause I don't need cream. I got enough for me, see. G's when I please. This other potential have you stuck on your knees. Like a slut when they sneeze. Jam your wallet with ease. Is from a legacy. I'll take my seat. Big G on the beats, go down, don't move. I got some more food for your mouth. Turn this old church to the phone. Pick up all the pieces of your head blown. I love drugs, but I'll never condone. I got a front of my own home. Fuck pigs till I'm 6 feet overgrown. Head to hell, and fuck the world till I'm out the ozone. Yo. Shorty bends and how my shawty ends life. Put you through you and save the rest for your wife, bitch. Have a good night. I love my wife, but fuck life. Could get a murder charge just to see what the fuck it feels like. Leave me alone. Could give a fuck who you with, bitch. I said leave me alone. Feed your mama a bone. Give her a treat if she make me a scone. Live your life and get the fuck up off your phone. Appreciate the moment and you'll never be alone. Bitch, hey. I can't surf, but I'm not like Spicoli. Flat you like some person the pan pizza in the oven, bitch, I'm hungry. I eat these foods faster than a motherfucking Humvee. My honey got a rubber don't land on his feet, capiche. Damn, repeat around eating up joints. My mind was torn to pieces, so I ripped that shit out. 10 years down the drain, guess I wasn't cut out. Fast forward 20, who you listen to now? Motherfuckers getting sick off the clout. They rather suck each other off instead of figure it out. Reeds here to patch it up like a squeaky leaky water
пьяный, дикий и веселый, странный, тихий, трезвый, скромный. Для тебя и твоей жопы. Давай трахаться в кроссовках, давай виски, фанту, колу. Я пьяный, дикий и веселый, странный, тихий, трезвый, скромный. Для тебя и твоей жопы. Давай трахаться в кроссовках, давай виски, фанту, колу. Baby, посмотри на небо, собери меня по кусочкам, как конструктор Лего, Лего. Baby, посмотри на небо, собери меня по кусочкам, как конструктор Лего, Лего. Baby, посмотри на небо, собери меня по кусочкам, как конструктор Лего, Лего. Baby, посмотри на небо, собери меня по кусочкам, как конструктор Лего, Лего.
Let's go. I'm throwing a flashback. Throwing a flashback. Grenade. Throwing fire.
Short mid.
Come on, let's go. Flashback. Throwing a flashback. I'm throwing a grenade. Molotov.
Short check, Леша.
Shadows will follow me around. They tell me everything, keeping my feet up.
Let's make this Reyes rain.
Big. See. Box. Он pretty low. Bolter low. I don't know. Nice.
We are good to go.
Yeah, no one see the bomb.
Check this one.
Jungle.
You hold the line when every one of them is giving up and giving in. Tell me, in this house of mine, nothing ever comes without a consequence. Of stars align. We'll have a step strong. That's the price you pay. Leave behind your heart and cast away. Just another product of today.
Go, go, go.
Connector.
Grenade out. down smoke. Decoy. Throwing a grenade. Throwing smoke. Throwing flashbang. Deploying flashbang.
One palace.
Move it. Decoys out. Incendiary.
Nobody follows.
Your bitch sit next to me, she know I'm crazy. I'm an animal. She throw that ass back like she launched it out of catapult. Me and my crew pull up and turn the party to a fashion show. Fuck, we wanna act up, shatter windows when that hammer's low. Smoking up some flammable, bitch, all we blow is gas. Never catch a case, cause bitch, I always wear a mask. Hit your bitch with me, pipe, then I bounce, cause this ain't date night. Call me young Chris Hansen, I catch you slipping like it's Dateline. Ain't afraid to catch a charge, sniper rifle, pick 'em off. Not ride on a pussy like my last name Hasselhoff. Fuck your father, your mother, your brother, sister, and cousin.
Connected.
Grenade out.
I'm dropping bodies in dozens. Hey, wave high. Why these bitches always wanna test us? I'll turn on our autopilot. You do it, drop by in the Tesla station down in Mexico.
Throwing fire.
Everyday fiesta, bitch. I stay my clientele like my fucking name, but that's a fuck a bitch. Fuck a pussy, fuck a cop, and fuck a judge. Fuck the hatred, fuck the sadness, fuck your feelings, fuck the love. You can feel how you want about me, 'cause I do not give a fuck. Don't pay my motherfucker.
Throwing flashbang. We are out of here. Throwing smoke. Throwing fire.
B, I think.
Under. Oh, never mind. Huh.
Just do what you do.
Nice.
So what it's like.
Let's rush B.
Living my life, grinding for my salary and smashing it. But actually, this rapping shit could actualize my happiness. You see me gradually just building my parameters. So they debate the capital, but that's below my caliber. Trying to be the baddest one, Bedford style, the loudest one. Bending all the rules in this
Що я не це?
Я повернувся.
Вон.
but chatter, yeah, I'm checking off my calendars. Cause I just got the master plan for the challenger. The way they see me shaping me is like a scene of Gattaca. Savage,
Кітю, на мене спортивні.
cause artistry is not something to rush. Just let the man vibe with his style and just hush. At times I feel I can't get enough. All the thoughts I suppress for this wealth ain't myself. Getting live and getting high with my we're just in the vibe with the crew. It's what we do, it's what we do. I've been hustling. It's fans of what my bruv, it's how we do. But I just need some time for some love, need some time for my soul, so my mind don't erupt.
Ця катка дограється і буде новий стрім, який вчора мені в голову прийшов. Буде новий стрім, я спробую. Треба буде, може, налаштування трохи зробити. В кесочки я рівень підняв, предмети отримав. Тому треба буде почекати, між стрімами буде трохи перерва технічна, я б сказав.
Сорі,
Ах ти, сука. Ах ти, бля. Кон. Window. Конту. Сейчас окно, наверное, буде. Maybe kitchen. Purple. Blue, check short.
Kitchen, I think.
Check apart. Blue.
Кітю.
Short.
Short apart. Не apart. Kitchen.
Go, 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 go.
Throwing flashback. Grenade. Burn.
Сука.
Connect.
Con low. 94. Rush purple. One kitchen, one short. Short, short. Short. Apart.